tired green eyes that showed the weight of her recent divorce. She had been married to Mark for 8 years, but the constant arguments about money and time had worn them down. Their daughter, Lily, was only 5 years old, a small girl with curly blonde hair and a shy smile. Lily didn't understand why Daddy wasn't coming with them, but Sarah had explained it as best she could. Sometimes grown-ups need space, sweetie, but he'll visit soon. They arrived at the new house on a cloudy afternoon in early fall. The house was an old Victorian-style place on the edge of a small town called Elmwood, about an hour from the city where they used to live. It had peeling, white paint, a wraparound porch with creaky boards, and tall windows that let in dim light. Sarah had found it online for a low price because it needed work, but she saw potential. "This is our fresh start," she said to Lily as she unlocked the door with a rusty key. The inside smelled like dust and old wood. The living room had high ceilings and a fireplace that hadn't been used in years. Boxes from the moving truck were piled up everywhere. Sarah started unpacking right away, putting plates in the kitchen cabinets and hanging clothes in the closets. Lily wandered around, her little sneakers squeaking on the hardwood floors. "Mommy, this house is big," she said, peeking into empty rooms. "Yes, it is. You have your own room upstairs," Sarah replied, trying to sound excited. She carried Lily's toys up the stairs, which groaned under her feet. Lily's room was at the end of the hall, with faded wallpaper showing tiny flowers. There was an old rocking chair in the corner, left by the previous owners. Sarah thought it was charming. As the sun set, Sarah made sandwiches for dinner since the stove wasn't hooked up yet. They ate on the floor, surrounded by boxes. Lily played with her stuffed bear, making it dance. "Bear likes the house," she said. Sarah smiled. "Good. Now, time for bed." She helped Lily brush her teeth in the small bathroom, then tucked her into a sleeping bag on the floor until the bed was set up. "Sweet dreams, baby." That night, Sarah lay on her own sleeping bag in the master bedroom, staring at the ceiling. She heard the wind outside, rattling the windows. It was quiet otherwise, too quiet after the noisy apartment they left. She thought about Mark, wondering if he was okay. They had agreed to share custody, but for now, it was just her and Lily. In the morning, Sarah woke to the sound of birds. She made coffee with a portable maker and started organizing more. Lily came down, rubbing her eyes. "I heard a baby crying last night," she said casually. Sarah paused. "A baby? Maybe it was a cat outside." Lily shook her head. "No, it was inside, in my room." Sarah laughed it off. "Dreams can seem real. Let's have breakfast." They spent the day settling in. Sarah cleaned the kitchen, wiping down counters and sweeping floors. Lily helped by stacking her books on a shelf. In the afternoon, Sarah took Lily to the nearby park to play. Lily swung on the swings, laughing as Sarah pushed her. "Higher, Mommy." Back home, Sarah cooked pasta on the now working stove. Dinner was simple, but it felt normal. As night fell again, Sarah read Lily a story about a brave little girl. Lily fell asleep with her bear clutched tight, but Sarah couldn't sleep. She heard faint sounds, like soft whimpers. She checked on Lily, who was sound asleep. Maybe it was the house settling, she thought. Old houses make noises. The next few days followed a routine. Sarah enrolled Lily in the local kindergarten, where she made a friend named Emma. Sarah found a part-time job at a bookstore in town, starting next week. She spent her time fixing up the house, painting walls a soft blue, hanging curtains, and planting flowers in the yard. One evening, while Sarah was in the basement looking for tools, she found an old trunk. Inside were yellowed papers and a small faded photo of a woman holding a baby. The baby had a serious face, unusual for infants. Sarah put it back, not thinking much of it. Lily started talking about her new friend. "She's little, like a baby, but she talks to me," Lily said. One day while drawing with crayons, Sarah knelt down. "An imaginary friend? That's fun. What's her name?" Lily thought. "Anna. She says she lives here." Sarah nodded. Kids and their imaginations. But that night the crying sounds returned, louder. Sarah sat up in bed, heart pounding. It came from Lily's room. She rushed in, but Lily was asleep. The rocking chair moved slightly, as if someone had just gotten up. Sarah told herself it was the wind. But deep down, an unease settled in. Over the next week, the routine continued dull and steady. Sarah went to work, Lily to school. They ate meals together, watched cartoons, and went to bed early. But the sounds persisted. Soft cries, whispers. Lily drew pictures of a baby in a crib with dark eyes. Sarah called Mark. "The house is creepy. Lily has an imaginary friend named Anna." Mark chuckled over the phone. "Normal kid stuff. Don't worry." But Sarah worried. She researched the house online but found nothing unusual. It was built in 1890, owned by several families. No big stories. One night the cries turned to laughter, a child's giggle. Sarah found Lily sitting up in bed, eyes open but glassy. "Anna wants to play," Lily murmured. Sarah shook her gently. "Wake up, honey." Lily blinked. "What?" Sarah hugged her. Something felt off, but life went on. The days in Elmwood settled into a predictable rhythm, but the unease in Sarah's chest grew heavier. Each morning, she woke early to make coffee, the bitter smell filling the kitchen as she prepared Lily for school. The old house creaked. Constantly, pipes groaning, floors settling, windows rattling in their frames. Sarah told herself it was normal for a place this old, built over a century ago. But the sounds at night, those soft cries and giggles, were harder to dismiss. Lily went to kindergarten every weekday, coming home with stories about her friend Emma and their games of tag. Sarah worked at the bookstore, shelving novels and ringing up customers. It was quiet work, giving her time to think. Too much time sometimes. She thought about Mark, wondering if he missed them. She thought about the house and the strange feeling that someone was watching her when she was alone. One morning, as Sarah packed Lily's lunch, a peanut butter sandwich, an apple, and a juice box, Lily sat at the kitchen table coloring. Her crayons moved quickly, sketching a picture of two girls holding hands. One had blonde curls like Lily, the other was smaller, with dark scribbles around her face. "Who's that with you?" Sarah asked, glancing over. "Anna," Lily said, not looking up. "She's always here." Sarah forced a smile. "You really like Anna, huh?" Lily nodded. "She tells me secrets. She says the house is hers." Sarah's stomach twisted. She didn't like how Lily talked about Anna as if she were real. But she remembered her own childhood, inventing friends to fill lonely days. "Well, tell Anna to share the house with us," she joked, ruffling Lily's hair. That afternoon, Sarah picked Lily up from school. The teacher, Mrs. Carter, pulled her aside. "Lily's been talking about a friend named Anna a lot," she said, her brow furrowed. "She says Anna lives in your house and doesn't like school. It's, unusual." Sarah nodded. "Just an imaginary friend. She's adjusting to the move." Mrs. Carter hesitated. "Maybe, but she seems distracted. Sometimes like she's listening to someone else." Driving home, Sarah glanced at Lily in the back seat, playing with her stuffed bear. "Did you tell Mrs. Carter about Anna?" Lily shrugged. "Anna told me to. She doesn't like Mrs. Carter." Sarah gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Let's not talk about Anna at school, okay? It worries people." Lily pouted but nodded. That evening, Sarah cooked spaghetti, the sauce simmering as the radio played soft music. Lily helped set the table, placing forks carefully. After dinner, they watched a cartoon about talking animals. It was a normal night, like dozens before it. But as Sarah tucked Lily into bed, she noticed the rocking chair in the corner of Lily's room again. It swayed slightly, just for a second, when no one was near it. "Lily, did you push the chair?" Sarah asked. "No, Mommy. Anna likes to sit there." Sarah's throat tightened. She kissed Lily's forehead and turned off the light. "Sleep tight." Downstairs, Sarah poured a glass of wine and sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She searched imaginary friends online, reading articles about how common they were for kids Lily's age. One article mentioned that stress, like a move or divorce, could make kids cling to imaginary friends longer. That made sense. But another article, buried deeper, talked about children claiming to see ghosts, mistaking them for friends. Sarah closed the tab quickly. The next day was Saturday. Sarah took Lily to the library to get books for school. The library was small, with tall shelves and a musty smell. While Lily browsed picture books, Sarah asked the librarian, an older woman named Mrs. Ellis, about the house. "Oh, that old place on Maple Street." Mrs. Ellis adjusted her glasses. "Been there forever. Used to belong to the Harper family back in the early 1900s. They had a tragedy, I think. A fire or something. Don't know much else." Sarah's heart skipped. "A fire?" Mrs. Ellis shrugged. "Happens in old houses. You should check the town records if you're curious." Sarah thanked her and found Lily, who was reading a book about fairies. "Look, Mommy, Anna would like this one," Lily said, holding it up. Sarah didn't respond. She checked out the books and drove home, her mind racing. That night, after Lily was asleep, Sarah went back to the basement. She opened the old trunk again, sifting through papers. Most were receipts or letters, faded and hard to read. But the photo of the woman and baby stuck in her mind. The baby's eyes seemed too knowing, too dark. The next few days were more of the same. Work, school, meals, bedtime. Sarah painted another wall, this time the hallway, a soft gray to brighten the place. Lily drew more pictures, always including Anna. Sarah hung them on the fridge, though they made her uneasy. One night Sarah woke to a sound, not crying, but singing. A soft, childish voice hummed a lullaby. It came from Lily's room. Heart pounding, Sarah crept down the hall. The door was ajar. Lily was asleep, but the rocking chair moved steadily, back and forth. The humming stopped when Sarah stepped inside. She stood frozen, staring at the chair. It slowed, then stopped. The room was silent, but the air felt heavy, like someone was still there. In the morning, Lily was cheerful, eating cereal and talking about school. Sarah didn't mention the night before. She dropped Lily off and went to work, shelving books mechanically. Her co-worker Jane noticed her distraction. "You okay, Sarah?" "Just tired," Sarah lied. "New house, new routine." Jane nodded. "Old houses can be creepy. Mine makes noises all the time." Sarah forced a laugh. But as she drove home, she couldn't shake the feeling that the house wasn't just old. It was alive. Life in the old house on Maple Street trudged on, each day blending into the next with a monotony that felt both comforting and oppressive to Sarah. She woke at 6:30 every morning, the alarm clock's beep cutting through the quiet. She'd stumble to the kitchen, start the coffee maker, and pack Lily's lunch, a sandwich, a fruit cup, a granola bar. The routine grounded her, but the strange moments, the ones she couldn't explain, gnawed at her peace. Lily seemed happy enough. She'd come home from kindergarten with drawings or stories about playing with Emma during recess, but Anna's name came up more often. "Anna says the basement is her favorite place," Lily said one morning, spooning cereal into her mouth. Sarah paused, holding her coffee mug. "The basement? Why?" Lily shrugged. "She likes it dark. She hides there." Sarah didn't like that. The basement was damp, cluttered with old furniture and boxes from past owners. She'd only been down there twice since moving in. "Stay out of the basement, okay? It's not safe." Lily nodded, but her eyes drifted to her drawing, a crayon sketch of a small figure in a dark room with big black eyes. At the bookstore, Sarah's days were filled with stacking shelves, helping customers find novels, and chatting with Jane about small-town gossip. But her mind wandered to the house. She started noticing things. A cold spot in the hallway, a faint smell of smoke in the living room, even when the fireplace was empty. One afternoon, while sweeping the store, she asked Jane if she knew anything about the Harper family. "Harpers?" "Oh, yeah, old story," Jane said, leaning on the counter. "They lived in your house ages ago, had a baby girl, I think. There was a fire and, well, it wasn't good. Nobody talks about it much." Sarah's stomach churned. "What happened?" "To the baby?" Jane frowned. "Not sure. Died, probably. Town records might have more. That evening, Sarah cooked chicken and rice for dinner, the sizzle of the pan filling the kitchen. Lily sat at the table, coloring again. This time, her picture showed the house, but with a black shape in one window. "That's Anna," Lily said when Sarah asked. Sarah changed the subject. "How's Emma doing?" "She's nice. But Anna says Emma shouldn't come over. Anna wants me all to herself." Sarah forced a smile, but her hands shook as she washed dishes later. After Lily was in bed, Sarah called Mark. "Lily's imaginary friend is getting intense," she said, keeping her voice low. "She talks about her like she's real." Mark sighed through the phone. "Kids do that, Sarah. You had an imaginary friend, didn't you?" "Not like this," she snapped. "It's creepy. And I found out the house had a fire. A baby died." Mark was quiet for a moment. "That's sad, but it's just a coincidence. Don't scare yourself." Sarah hung up, frustrated. She sat on the couch, sipping tea, trying to focus on a TV show about home renovations. But her eyes kept drifting to the hallway, where the basement door stood slightly ajar. She was sure she'd closed it. The next day was Saturday. Sarah decided to distract Lily with a trip to the park. Lily ran around the playground, climbing slides and swinging with Emma, who'd come with her mom. Sarah watched, sipping coffee from a thermos, but her thoughts were on the house. When they got home, Lily ran upstairs to play with her dolls. Sarah started laundry, the hum of the washing machine filling the silence. Around dusk, Sarah heard giggles from upstairs. Not Lily's usual laugh, but something higher, sharper. She climbed the stairs, heart pounding. Lily was in her room, sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by dolls. "What's so funny, sweetie?" Sarah asked. "Anna's playing a game," Lily said. "She moves the dolls when I'm not looking." Sarah looked at the dolls. One, a rag doll with button eyes, was now sitting upright, facing her. She could have sworn it was lying flat before. "Lily, don't make up stories." "It's not a story. Watch." Lily closed her eyes, counting to 10. When she opened them, another doll had tipped over. Lily clapped. "See? Anna's fast." Sarah's mouth went dry. She grabbed Lily's hand. "Let's go downstairs. Time for dinner." That night, after Lily was asleep, Sarah stayed up, searching online for Harper Family Fire, Elmwood. She found a brief article from 1908. The Harper's house caught fire due to a faulty lamp. Their baby daughter, Annabelle, died in her crib. The parents survived but left town soon after. The article included a grainy photo of the family, mother, father, and a baby, with dark, piercing eyes. It looked like the photo from the trunk. Sarah's heart raced. Annabelle. Anna. She shut her laptop and checked every lock in the house. The basement door was open again. The next morning, Sarah took Lily to church, hoping it would calm her nerves. The sermon was about forgiveness, but Sarah barely listened. Lily drew in a notebook, sketching a crib with a shadow inside. Sarah grabbed the notebook. "No more of this, Lily." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "But Anna wants me to draw her." That night the singing returned. The same lullaby, soft and eerie, floated from Lily's room. Sarah crept in, flashlight in hand. Lily was asleep, but the rocking chair was moving again, faster this time. The lullaby stopped abruptly. A whisper, barely audible, said, "Stay." Sarah backed out, slamming the door. She slept on the couch, clutching a kitchen knife. The routine continued: school, work, meals, but the house felt different. Shadows seemed to linger in corners. Lily's drawings grew darker, always featuring Anna. Sarah stopped hanging them up. The days dragged on in the old house, each one heavy with a tension Sarah couldn't shake. She stuck to her routine, hoping it would keep her grounded. Every morning she brewed coffee, packed Lily's lunch, ham sandwich, carrot sticks, a cookie, and drove her to kindergarten. At the bookstore, she dusted shelves, rang up customers, and smiled through small talk with Jane. But her thoughts were always on the house, on Lily, on Anna. Lily's behavior grew stranger. She'd come home from school quieter, her eyes distant. She stopped talking about Emma and spent hours in her room whispering to herself. Sarah caught snippets of words. Anna says. Anna wants. One afternoon, Lily refused to eat her dinner. Macaroni and cheese, her favorite. Anna says it's not good, she mumbled, pushing the plate away. Sarah's patience frayed. Lily, stop this Anna nonsense. Eat your food. Lily's eyes narrowed, her voice low. Anna doesn't like it when you're mad. Sarah froze. The kitchen felt colder, the air thick. She sent Lily to bed early, then sat at the table, staring at the uneaten food. She couldn't ignore it anymore. The house wasn't just old, it was wrong. That night, Sarah called Mark again. I need you to come here, she said, her voice trembling. Something's not right with Lily, or this house. Mark sighed. Sarah, you're stressed. I'll visit this weekend, okay? Fine, she snapped, hanging up. She didn't sleep listening to the house instead. The usual creaks were joined by new sounds. Soft thumps from the attic, a faint scratching from the walls. She checked on Lily, who was asleep, clutching her stuffed bear. The rocking chair was still, but Sarah swore she saw a shadow flicker across the wall. The next day, Sarah went to the town hall during her lunch break. She asked for records about the Harper family. The clerk, a bored man with glasses, handed her a thin file. It confirmed the 1908 fire. A lamp tipped over in the nursery, killing baby Annabelle Harper, aged 1. The parents, Margaret and Thomas, were unharmed but left Elmwood soon after. The file included a coroner's report describing the baby's death as tragic but accidental. Sarah's hand shook as she read. Annabelle. Anna. Back home, she found Lily in the backyard, digging in the dirt with a stick. What are you doing, sweetie? Sarah asked. Anna says there's something buried here, Lily said, not looking up. Something she lost. Sarah knelt beside her. Lily, I need you to tell me about Anna. What does she look like? Lily paused, her stick frozen in the dirt. She's little, like a baby, but her face is dark, like it's burned. She has big eyes. She's sad. Sarah's heart pounded. Does she ever touch you? Lily nodded slowly. Sometimes. She holds my hand. It's cold. Sarah pulled Lily into a hug, hiding her own fear. No more playing with Anna, okay? Lily didn't answer. That evening, Sarah cooked chicken soup, the pot simmering as she chopped vegetables. Lily sat quietly, drawing. When Sarah looked at the paper, her breath caught. It was a crib, but inside was a figure with blackened skin and hollow eyes. Lily, what is this? Anna's bed, Lily said, her voice flat. She wants me to sleep there too. Sarah tore the drawing in half. No more, Lily. This stops. Now. Lily started crying, loud and angry. Anna's my friend. You can't take her away. The lights flickered. A glass on the counter slid off and shattered. Sarah grabbed Lily, pulling her away from the table. We're not staying here tonight, she said, her voice shaking. She packed a bag with clothes and drove to a motel across town. Lily sobbed the whole way, saying, Anna's mad. She'll find us. At the motel, Sarah tucked Lily into bed, but she barely slept. She kept seeing that drawing in her mind. The burned figure, the hollow eyes. She searched online for haunted houses and ghosts of children, finding stories of spirits, latching onto the living, especially kids. One article mentioned cleansing rituals, but Sarah wasn't sure she believed in that. The next morning they returned home. The house felt heavier, the air stale. Sarah checked every room, expecting something to jump out. Nothing did, but the basement door was open again. She slammed it shut and locked it. Mark arrived that afternoon, his truck pulling into the driveway. Lily ran to him, hugging his legs. Daddy. Hey, kiddo, he said, but his eyes were on Sarah. You look like hell. She told him everything. The drawings, the sounds, the records. Mark listened, his face skeptical. You're both stressed. Old houses are creepy, that's all. Then stay tonight, Sarah challenged. See for yourself. They ate pizza for dinner, the box sitting open on the coffee table. Lily seemed happier with Mark there, laughing as he told silly stories, But as night fell, the house grew quiet, too quiet. Sarah put Lily to bed, reading her a story about a happy puppy. Mark sat on the couch, watching a football game at Jondi. Midnight, Sarah woke to a scream. She ran to Lily's room. Lily was sitting up, eyes wide. "Anna's here," she whispered. "She's in the mirror." Sarah looked at the small mirror on the dresser. For a split second, she saw a shadow, a small, twisted shape with dark eyes. She blinked, and it was gone. Mark burst in. "What's going on?" Sarah pointed at the mirror, her voice shaking. "I saw something." He looked, then shook his head. "Nothing's there, Sarah." But as they left the room, the rocking chair started moving, fast and jerky. A low hum filled the air, like a child's lullaby but distorted. Mark grabbed Lily, and they ran downstairs. "We're leaving," Sarah said, her voice firm. But the front door wouldn't open. The knob turned, but it was stuck, like something was holding it. The locked front door sent a chill through Sarah. She twisted the knob again, her hands sweaty, but it wouldn't budge. Mark pushed past her, shoving his shoulder against the wood. "What the hell?" he muttered, his voice tight. Lily clung to Sarah's leg, her small body trembling. "Anna doesn't want us to leave," she whispered. Sarah's heart raced. "Stay here," she told Mark, grabbing a flashlight from the kitchen drawer. She ran to the back door, but it was stuck too. Windows wouldn't open either, their frames sealed as if glued. The house felt like a cage. Mark carried Lily to the living room, setting her on the couch. "This is crazy," he said, running a hand through his hair. "It's just a door. Maybe it's warped." "It's not the door," Sarah snapped, her voice shaking. "It's her, Anna." Mark shook his head. "You're freaking out over nothing. I'll call a locksmith." But when he pulled out his phone, the screen flickered and died, despite a full battery. Sarah's phone did the same. The lights in the house dimmed, casting long shadows across the walls. A faint giggle echoed from upstairs. Lily buried her face in Sarah's shirt. "She's mad at us." Sarah held her tight, her mind racing. The routine of the past weeks, waking, cooking, working, sleeping, felt like a distant memory. The house was no longer just creepy. It was dangerous. She thought of the Harper family, of baby Annabelle burning in her crib. Was Anna's spirit trapped here, latching onto Lily? "We need help," Sarah said. "Someone who knows about this." Mark frowned, but didn't argue. "Like who?" Sarah remembered an article about cleansing rituals. "A priest, or someone who deals with ghosts." Mark snorted. "You're serious?" The giggle came again, louder, followed by a thud from Lily's room. Mark's face paled. "Okay, fine, let's try." The next morning the doors opened, as if nothing had happened. Sarah drove Lily to school, her eyes darting to the rearview mirror, half expecting to see Anna's burned face. At the bookstore, she asked Jane for advice. "Know anyone who deals with weird stuff?" she said. Vaguely. Jane raised an eyebrow, but scribbled a name on a napkin. Father Michael, a local priest who'd helped with unusual problems before. Sarah called him during her break. "My house, something's wrong. My daughter sees things. I saw something too." Father Michael's voice was calm. "I'll come tomorrow. Stay calm and don't engage with it." That evening, Sarah cooked pasta, the pot bubbling as she tried to act normal. Mark stayed over, sleeping on the couch. Lily ate quietly, her eyes on her plate. "Anna says you're mean for calling someone," she said suddenly. Sarah's fork froze. "What else does Anna say?" Lily's voice was flat. "She says she'll stay forever." Mark leaned forward. "Lily, stop it. Anna's not real." Lily's eyes went glassy, her voice dropping to a whisper. "She's realer than you." The room went cold. A picture frame on the wall fell, glass shattering. Sarah grabbed Lily and pulled her upstairs, locking them in the master bedroom. Mark followed, his face grim. "This is insane," he muttered. Sarah didn't sleep. She sat by Lily, who slept fitfully, murmuring Anna's name. At dawn, Sarah made coffee, her hands Shaking, Mark took Lily to school, promising to be back for the priest's visit. Father Michael arrived at noon, a short man with gray hair and a worn Bible. He walked through the house, sprinkling holy water and praying softly. In Lily's room, he paused. At the rocking chair. "This feels heavy," he said. "Something's tied to this place." He suggested a ritual to cleanse the house, but it needed preparation, candles, salt, and a specific prayer. "It's not guaranteed," he warned. "Spirits, especially children, can be stubborn." Sarah nodded, desperate. She drove to the store for supplies while Mark picked up Lily. Back home, they set up a circle of salt in the living room, placing candles at 4 points. Father Michael began the prayer, his voice steady. Sarah held Lily's hand, Mark standing nearby, skeptical, but silent. Halfway through, the candles flickered. The air grew thick, like before a storm. Lily whimpered. "She's here." A low wail filled the room, not a baby's cry, but something older, angrier. The rocking chair upstairs slammed against the floor, over and over. Father Michael raised his voice, continuing the prayer. A candle tipped over, wax spilling. Sarah's heart pounded. "Keep going," she urged. Lily suddenly screamed, her body jerking. Her eyes rolled back, showing only whites. "She wants me," she cried, her voice not her own. Mark lunged forward, grabbing Lily. "Stop this!" The priest kept praying, louder now. The wail grew deafening, then stopped. Lily went limp, breathing heavily. The air lightened, but Sarah felt no relief. "Father," Michael wiped his brow. "It's not gone," he said. "It's weaker, but it's still here. You need to find what it's tied to, something in the house." Sarah thought of the trunk in the basement, the photo of Annabelle. "I know where to look," she said. That night, they stayed together in the living room, sleeping bags on the floor. The house was quiet, but Sarah knew it wasn't over. She clutched Lily, wondering if they'd ever be free. The morning after the failed ritual, Sarah woke on living room floor, her body aching from the sleeping bag. Lily was curled beside her, clutching her stuffed bear, while Mark snored softly nearby. The house was silent, but the quiet felt like a held breath, waiting to explode. Sarah made coffee. The machine's hum, a faint comfort in the heavy air. She glanced at the basement door, still locked, and thought of the trunk. The photo of Annabelle, those dark eyes staring back. She couldn't wait anymore. "We're ending this today," she whispered to herself. Mark woke, rubbing his eyes. "What's the plan?" he asked, his voice low to not wake Lily. "The basement," Sarah said. "Father Michael said Anna's tied to something. I think it's in that trunk." Mark nodded, his skepticism fading. After last night's chaos, the locked doors, Lily's screams, the wailing, he couldn't deny something was wrong. "Let's do it before Lily's up." They left Lily sleeping, covered with a blanket, and crept to the basement door. Sarah unlocked it, the click echoing in the still house. The stairs creaked as they descended, the air growing damp and cold. The flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing cobwebs and stacks of forgotten boxes. The trunk sat in the corner, its wood warped and stained. Sarah knelt, her hands trembling as she opened it. Inside were the same papers, the photo of the Harper family, and something new, a small, singed baby blanket, embroidered with the name Annabelle. The fabric smelled faintly of smoke, even after a century. "This is it," Sarah said, holding the blanket. "She's tied to this." Mark frowned. "What do we do? Burn it?" Sarah hesitated. Father Michael said destroying the anchor might free her, or make her angrier. Before they could decide, footsteps pattered above. "Mommy?" Lily's voice called, panicked. Sarah and Mark raced upstairs. Lily stood in the living room, eyes wide. "Anna's mad. She says you're stealing her things." The temperature dropped. The lights flickered, then went out, plunging the house into shadow. A low wail started, growing louder, coming from everywhere. Sarah grabbed Lily, clutching the blanket. "We need to finish this." They ran to the backyard, where Sarah had seen Lily digging days before. Mark grabbed a shovel from the shed. If Anna thinks something's buried here, maybe it's part of her too. As Mark dug, the wail turned into a scream, shrill and furious. The ground shook slightly, dirt trembling in the hole. Lily clung to Sarah, sobbing. She doesn't want to go. Mark hit something hard, a small rusted box. He pried it open, revealing a tiny locket, blackened by fire, with a lock of hair inside. Sarah's stomach churned. It's hers. Annabelle's. The air grew thick like a storm about to break. A shape formed in front of them. A small figure no taller than Lily, with charred skin and glowing eyes. Mine, it hissed. It's a voice, a mix of child and monster. Sarah held up the blanket and locket. Annabelle, we're sorry you were alone, but you can't have Lily. The figure lunged, its cold hands grazing Sarah's arm. Pain shot through her like ice in her veins. Mark swung the shovel, passing through the figure, which flickered but didn't vanish. Lily screamed, "Stop hurting her!" Sarah's heart broke. She knelt by Lily. "Sweetie, Anna's not your friend. She's stuck. We need to help her go." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "She's lonely, I know," Sarah said softly, "but she can't stay." Mark lit a match, his hands shaking. "We burn it, right?" Sarah nodded. They placed the blanket, locket, and photo in the hole. Mark dropped the match. Flames caught, small at first, then roaring. The figure screamed, a sound that pierced their ears. The ground shook harder, and the figure grew brighter, its eyes locked on Lily. "Lily, tell her goodbye," Sarah said, holding her daughter tight. Lily sobbed. "Goodbye, Anna." The flames surged, and the figure dissolved into a burst of light. The scream faded, the air warmed, the ground stilled, the fire burned out, leaving only ash. Sarah, Mark, and Lily stood frozen, waiting. The house behind them felt lighter. No whispers, no giggles, just silence. They packed that day, taking only essentials. Sarah called a realtor to sell the house. They stayed in the motel until they found a new place, a small apartment in the city, far from Elmwood. Life returned to routine: school, work, meals, bedtime stories. Lily stopped drawing Anna, her smiles returning. Sarah and Mark grew closer, talking about trying again, though nothing was certain. Years later, Lily, now a teenager, asked about the house. "Was Anna real?" she said. Sarah hesitated. "She was real to you, but she's gone now." Lily nodded, never mentioning her again. The house on Maple Street sat empty, its windows dark. Neighbors said it felt peaceful now, but no one stayed long. Some swore they heard a faint lullaby on quiet nights, but it was probably just the wind.